What's up everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Olá a todos, bem-vindos ao meu canal. If you're new here, my name is Vilma and today I have my very first foundation review by Benefit, which is called Hello Happy. I picked mine up at Debenhams. It retails for £25.50. It comes in 12 available shades. It comes in a plastic container which carries a 30 ml of product, and it comes with SPF 15. Now the claims of this foundation is that it's supposed to give you a soft matte finish with a blurring effect, meaning it will blur out your imperfections such as enlarged pores and fine lines. Now I'm going to give you kind of like a background on my skin type. I have combination to oily skin. I'm 41. My main concerns about my skin are enlarged pores. I have fine lines here and there, but mostly on my forehead due to having a little bit of dehydration. And my skin is pretty much clear. I don't have a lot to cover, so I like foundations that give me pretty much a light to medium coverage, which can be buildable if I want to go for full coverage, but I prefer on a day-to-day basis a light to medium coverage. My skin tone is a light to medium with a yellow undertone. I'm an NC30 by MAC, but as always you can find a list of so many other foundations that I have reviewed with matches and the links for those videos as well in the info bar below. Before we get into the demo and my thoughts about this foundation, let's just talk about the packaging for a minute. I do find that the packaging is very cute, and I love the fact that it comes in a plastic container, kind of like a squeezy tube. The shade on the outside of the foundation is not exactly the same as the shade that comes out of the packaging, so please keep that in mind. I matched myself to shade 6 just because shade 5 was a little bit light and too neutral, almost pinkish, so I decided to go for shade 6 because I thought it would match me a little bit better now in the warmer months. Now the packaging itself, as mentioned, it's plastic. I think it's great for travel, but I don't find it very sophisticated. I feel like they're more targeting this maybe to younger women or the younger generation. I don't know if this is going to be a deterrent from women who are a little bit over 40 like myself. When I look at the packaging from Benefit, I feel like they need to mature a little bit on their packaging, because this could be a deterrent for women who are a little bit more mature or are getting into that age group where when they look at the packaging they would say, no, I don't think that's for me. It's probably for my niece or my daughter. Now to apply this foundation, I used two tools. I used a buffing brush by Bobbi Brown, and I used the Miracle Complexion Sponge by Real Techniques. I think that's a great way to show how the foundation applies, how it goes on the skin, because some of you may just want to use a brush and some of you prefer a sponge. Now I don't usually wear primer on a day-to-day basis because the face lotion that I use already has a primer in there, so check the info bar below for all my skincare prior to applying the foundation. But I use the Professional by Benefit, which is something that I've been using now for a good few months. Till now I have not made my mind about this primer, but I wanted to use it on half of my face to see if there's any difference in the blurring effect. Now the consistency of this foundation appears to be somewhat in between liquidy and kind of like thick. It's really not thick, but it's kind of like in the middle because it doesn't really run down my hand all that much. When you apply it on the skin, I feel like it gives you a kind of like cooling sensation. So it feels like it's a hydrating foundation, and it just blends like a dream. It goes on really, really well on the skin. Now, as mentioned before, when it comes to the shade, this shade is number 6. It's just a little bit too warm for me, so I tend to drag it down just a little bit down my neck. It wouldn't be a winter foundation shade for me whatsoever, but now in the summer I can make it work, but it's just a little bit too warm for me. I found that the brush application was very easy, as mentioned, because the consistency of the foundation is very, very easy, like super easy to apply. The first layer of foundation, it gives a very natural finish. Like if it was my exact match, I wouldn't even notice if I have foundation on my face or not, because it just looks that flawless in the sense that it looks natural, not super super heavy or anything like that. The foundation actually feels very, very light on the skin. Now, when it comes to applying it with a sponge, I felt like it applied very nicely. It blends again very well. I don't feel like there's a huge difference with applying it with a brush or with a sponge, just because this foundation appears to be one of those that any tool that you use, even including your fingers, is just going to blend into your skin very nicely. Now, the finish with the sponge, it is a little bit more different. Is that even English? It is different. It looks a little bit more dewy on the skin. Although the foundation, they do claim, Benefit claims that this is a soft matte effect. There is a sheen to the skin, which makes the foundation look even more natural in my opinion. But I do like the way the foundation looks with both applications. I wouldn't say I like one more than the other. It just works really well both with a sponge or with a brush. Now let's talk about my favorite things and worst things about this foundation. Price-wise, I actually think that foundation is very well priced. It's not expensive at all. There's other foundations out there, other brands like Dior, Chanel, that you would pay around the £40 mark and above for a foundation. The price is great. When it comes to the coverage, I really, really like the coverage. It looks very natural, doesn't look like a mask. It doesn't feel heavy. I actually think it's a good foundation for spring and summer, where we tend to kind of like tone down on the makeup and we don't want something that clogs the pores, that feels heavy and stuff like that. I feel like the foundation is great for that as well. When it comes to the finish, I wouldn't say that this foundation is matte. It is more of a satin finish with a natural sheen to the skin. If you have combination to oily skin, I would highly recommend that you set the foundation with a very finely milled powder so you don't change the finish of the foundation. And if you have normal to dry skin, you can actually skip setting the foundation all over the face because it does not look dewy at all. It just looks satiny, and it does set down to a soft matte finish, which looks very natural and very pretty on the skin. When it comes to the blurring effect, I do find the foundation does blur my pores. I have really, really large pores. I am not joking. And I use a lot of my skincare to minimize the size of my pores. Although I don't like using primers, I just find that so many layers of products on the skin kind of like get in the way of me getting ready quicker in the morning. But I do find that this foundation does blur the appearance of pores. I don't see a huge difference using this with the primer, but there is a little bit of a difference, but it's not huge. So if you don't have a primer that minimizes the size of pores, the foundation will do that on its own. But if you do have it and you prefer to apply it, I think it will help. But with this primer, I didn't feel like it was a huge difference. The last thing I want to touch on this foundation is the shade range. Now, this is my first Benefit foundation. It's my second product from Benefit, so I haven't really tried a lot. I haven't really ventured into the brand. Apologies for that. But I know for a fact they've never ever released more than about maybe 6 or 8 shades from their previous foundations or foundation. I think they have maybe 2 prior to this one. Releasing 12, they're definitely going in the right path, but I still don't think it's good enough. The reason why I say that is because between the shade 5 and 6, there is something missing. Now, all foundations have a neutral finish, and so they say, or a neutral undertone. But I feel like shade 5 is so neutral that it actually looks pink. And this one, borderline, is looking orange. Now, on camera, it doesn't really show all that much. At least I don't think it does. But in certain different lights, like if I go to my bathroom and you know, there's a window in there, but the window is not facing the mirror directly, I can see that I look a little bit, I don't know if it's orange, but it just doesn't look like my skin tone. And that's why I need to drag it down. So if they believe that 12 shades are going to cater for 25 different women with different undertones, that is just not going to happen. all brands need to take note from Fenty Beauty, from Lancome, from Estee Lauder, Bobbi Brown, and just release more shades. This is just not good enough, and I'm not going to give Benefit a thumbs up because they've added 5 shades more or 6 shades more to their previous lines, if that makes sense. So 12 shades is not enough. I do hope that if you are interested in the foundation that you find the right shade for you. If you don't, you may have to mix it with another foundation, which defeats the purpose, or you have to buy 2 foundations. And if you do have to buy 2 foundations, it will cost you £51 for one product. Does that make sense? You're better off trying to find a different brand to cater for your skin tone. But that is, for me, one of the only downsides of the foundation. Everything else actually seems to be really good and accurate against their claims. So that is my review and demo and thoughts, of course, on the Hello Happy by Benefit. I do hope that you guys found this video helpful. Let me know in the comments below what you think about this video. Have you tried the foundation? How do you feel about it? Or are you going to try it? Make sure that you comment down below also your skin type so that we know how it works for different people. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye.